This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
The following is a Red Apple Podcast Network presentation.
They say this is a big rich town. I just come from the poet's part. Bright light, city life, I gotta make it.
Welcome to Dominic Carter's podcast. This is Dominic Carter's City Hall. Now, here's Dominic Carter.
Red Apple Podcast, Talk Radio 77 WABC. You can listen to me, Dominic Carter, live Monday through Friday, midnight to 1 a.m. A transgender woman named Diana is disappointed with me. Let's talk about it. This is my podcast. Let's go. The backlash against Bud Light as transgender issues have been dominating headlines for months. The beer company has no one else to blame but themselves after aligning their own product with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. It has been a fiasco. You literally paid advisors millions to blow up your own product. Bud Light has every right to do what it wishes with its beer. But remember, it's a two-way street. The American people can say yay or nay. Bud Light's parent company, Anheuser-Busch, has stepped in it in a big way, losing $27 billion with a B in stock value over Dylan Mulvaney. And that is a good thing because Americans are being heard stating loud and clear, no, no, and hell no. Now I say live and let live. And it deeply saddens me with the high rate of suicides in the transgender community and the high number of assaults against transgender people. It's not right. But Anheuser-Busch, you stepped on the toe of a sleeping giant, the American people, and you are paying dearly for this, as you should. Targets, Kohl's, and all the rest of these companies with all this political correctness, can you say next? So I want to tell this story through the lens of my radio colleague, Curtis Lewa, another of our colleagues on the #1 radio show in the morning in all of New York, which is on WABC, Sid Rosenberg on Sid and Friends. Sid said his show was the best one in a 24-hour period on WABC. That is until his next show the following day. Curtis took exception to that, focusing for 15 minutes on my interview with a transgender woman named Diana.
And earlier today, Sid, at the start of his show at 6 o'clock, the peacock that he is, the I and Me guy, it's all about him, couldn't have been more hopelessly wrong.
It's a very, very busy Wednesday. This, and I say this every now and then, maybe often, I don't know, but I do say it. Today has the potential to be the best show this station has had in, since my show yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's a long time, bro.
That is.
It's a lot of shows and lots of hours.
That's it. Lots has happened since yesterday.
Oh, so much has happened, yes. A lot has happened. And we're going to discuss all of it.
Let me tell you something, Sid. Can't listen at night, 12 midnight to 1. Monday through Fridays, that's Dominic Carter. He is the most improved, bar none, of our many talk show hosts here at WABC. Host or hostess. In fact, you saw him Memorial Day on Monday. He substituted for Brian Kilmeade. He did 2 hours, 10 to 12. I wouldn't let him substitute for me. I might not get the rip and read back 12 to 1. So I stood here before running off to the Little Neck Douglaston Memorial Day Parade, the last in the city, to end the cycle. And yet he was also here for Greg Kelly, 1 to 3. He is really on fire. He is talking about personal issues that most talk show hosts and hostess never delve into. And that's why they remain at a certain level. They'll never go beyond that. They don't understand this is the most intimate form of communication that has ever been created. Marconi, the Italian, like me, I believe that, or Tesla, the Serbian. Anyway, when it comes to the whole issue with transgenders, which everyone is fascinated with, nobody has done it better than our own Dominic Carter.
Well, let's go to Diana in Manhattan. Good morning, Diana. You're on Talk Radio 77 WABC.
I'm so disappointed in you, Dominic. I mean, transgender folk are as human as anyone else. And 100 years ago, if an African American had advertised a beer, white people would have said, I'm not drinking that beer. The N-word, they drink that beer. But we've grown beyond that. And we have to grow beyond prejudice against sexual minorities. Don't you think?
Wow. The audience went nuts that this Diana transgender would compare the transgender movement of today, which is everywhere, with the civil rights movement of the 50s and the 60s. And then Dominic Carter continued on with his transgender caller, Diana.
I agree with you, but Diana, what are you disappointed in me about?
Because you seem to be happy that Bud Light has lost its status because it was advertised by a transgender influencer. I'm transgender. I mean, we're as human as you are,
Right.
So here it is. They're starting to engage. Soon they're going to become like two scorpions in a brandy glass. A heterosexual Dominic, I think. Wait till you hear what he has to say. And the homosexual, now transgender Diana. Well, here they go, round 3.
Everybody's human. If you listen to this program, Diana, the fact that you're transgender is not new to me. I have transgender people call me all the time. I grew up around a few transgender people, and in my young adulthood, I was around transgender people. So it's something. I've been to gay bars. I understand the lifestyle. I get it.
Excuse me. In other words, some of your best friends are. I see.
Well. Did you hear that? Dominic Carter revealing to all of us some of his best friends are transgenders. He's been to gay bars. Do we think he may have experimented? Wait, whoa. You got to listen to the podcast. In fact, I suggest you listen to the live broadcast Monday through Fridays, 12 midnight to 1. He's the fastest improving talk show host or hostess here at WABC, bar none, because he takes on every topic. And he's getting very personal about these things in a way that no other talk show host or hostess here would. And it isn't all about just I and me, as Dominic Carter continues round 4 with the transgender Diana.
I'm supposed to say to my granddaughter, as she starts getting a little older, one more time, please.
There are some people who are assigned one gender at birth, but are, in fact, the other gender and choose to live as the other gender. And that's why these bathing suits are labeled the way they are.
You got right.
And that may be acceptable to me as a grown man, but a child is supposed to understand that. Diana, you don't think that a child is going to be left confused at that?
If children can read horrifying fairy tales about witches throwing kids into ovens, I think they can accept this.
That enraged the audience even more. The callers were livid. But if you notice, Dominic knew exactly the right questions to ask in a manner that was respectful of Diana so she wouldn't just hang up or feel she wasn't getting equal time. What you do is you let people talk. And boy, she, in her mindset, when you walk through the aisles of Target and you see a female swimsuit with a pouch, for a crotch, instead of what we're used to seeing with female bathing suits. And then she justifies that and doesn't feel it would be a problem if children were to see that and say, Mommy, Daddy, what is that? What is that? Now you're getting to the heart of the matter. Nobody else here at WABC has been able to do that. It's peeling back the layers as if it's an artichoke, going right into the heart of the issue because Dominic kept the transgender Diana on so we could learn more. Because as you can see, she's highly educated, she's well-spoken, and Dominic gave her the time to express herself, unlike other talk show hosts and hostesses here who would have introduced her to Mr. Click.
What about being gender fluid? What's wrong with her?
I don't even know what gender fluid is, to be honest with you.
What you just described, that's being gender fluid.
And you're telling me, Diana, that people are Diana, with all due respect, you're telling me with a straight face that people are supposed to accept this?
Yes.
Straight up. Play that again. I'm even confused. And at least Dominic wasn't being politically correct. He was saying he's confused about this fluidity of sexuality. I forget the term that Diana uses and the transgenders use. But why not be honest? We are all confused when they use this terminology, and we cannot let that dominate the discussion.
What about being gender fluid? What's wrong with her?
I don't even know what gender fluid is, to be honest with you.
What you just described, that's being gender fluid.
And you're telling me, Diana, that people are Diana, with all due respect, you're telling me with a straight face that people are supposed to accept this?
Yes.
Straight face, yes. Gender fluidity. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you realize what that means. That means today Diana identifies as a transgender. I would have asked one more question. I would have gone beyond Dominic. He's too much of a gentleman. Lou, I would have asked her if she has her knife, spoon, and a fork, her three-piece set. You know, like Dylan Mulvaney, right? The transgender who has decided that she needs a pouch to hold on to her knife, spoon, and fork. But Dominic, true to being the gentleman that he is, did not go there, but he continued the conversation. He did not let Diana, the transgender, off the hook.
America is just not ready for this.
They will get ready.
No, and so the transgender community is going to make us ready, whether we're ready or not.
The civil rights community made the world ready for civil rights.
Oh my God, that was the blowback again. The callers that followed was saying, how dare she compare that to the civil rights struggle of African Americans in America? How dare she? Oh, this is must listen to radio, ladies and gentlemen. When I first listened to Dominic Carter, when he came over to the old WABC, he was still thinking of himself as a TV broadcaster like many of our colleagues do here. You know, radio is a side hustle. They're always talking TV, TV, TV. You get more listeners here on WABC than you would on any news talk station program. Any. And people who do radio as a side hustle, it's obvious in the product that they put out on the radio. It's not in-depth. It's not personal. It's not intimate. It's ephemeral. It's on the periphery. They're constantly talking about their TV programs or their appearances. At some point, a light bulb went off for Dominic Carter. I had many conversations with him. I said, Dominic, you're not going back to TV. You're a radio talk show host. You must act like a radio talk show host and become the best that you can be. As you know, we've discussed mental health issues this month. He's the expert here at WABC. He wrote a book on that. His mother was in psychiatric facilities. She abused him. He had to visit her in psychiatric facilities. He's been able to tell the story of what that's like so you could understand maybe what a Neely was going through, schizophrenic, bipolar, all of that. Imagine, it's your mother. But here, with the transgender Diana, respectful, but maybe the best interviewer we have here at WABC, bar none, because he doesn't let him off the hook. He keeps him there until he gets answers to the questions that all of you have, because you're just as confused as I am, as Dominic indicated he was, about being gender fluid.
Diana, before I let you go, so you said you're transgender.
Yes.
What else is it that you want people to know? Because, again, I make no bones about it. I am glad that Bud Light has lost its base, because I guarantee you right now, the corporate heads are shaking in their boots on how they're going to keep their jobs going forward, because they touched what amounts to be a third rail for the American people.
Let me tell you something. I'm submitting this interview with Diana, the transgender, for a Marconi Award. There's been no better interview involving a transgender than what Dominic just achieved last night, and he's done it before. They almost never are able to explain because they're shut down. He makes them feel so comfortable that they express themselves. It may be something we don't like, but at least we understand the thinking. For instance, he had a caller call up, a guy named Nick, who came off of that conversation with Diana and told a story that was amusing, entertaining, but also perplexing.
I want you to stay in contact with me, because as these issues arise,
I love your show.
I
love your show.
And I love you, Diana. We just respectfully disagree.
Oh boy. I don't know how personal he is with Diana. I'm not going to go there. Let's just say love can be a strange thing from time to time. I never say I love any of my callers. I'm the complete opposite. He's like the Ernie Anastas, of hosts, right? He loves everybody. But now here is the caller, Nick, that followed. Wait till you hear what Nick had to say.
I did a transgender wedding last weekend. I'm in the entertainment business, and I have to tell you, something happened at the wedding that was really crazy. I went to the bathroom. I was using the bathroom, and a woman, or at least what I thought was a woman, came in to use the urinal next to me, and I didn't realize that the bathroom was a commingled bathroom, and it totally freaked me out. And I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry." And then I realized what was going on. This is the world we live in. It's so confusing. And then, I called her, I called her, and she got mad at me. So I was so confused.
Okay, so wait. Hey, Nick, I feel your pain. I really feel your pain.
He feels his pain. Can you imagine? Here's Nick, the wedding singer. He's contracted to do a transgender wedding. No problem. He goes into what he thinks is the men's room, and there's a transgender next to him in the urinal, doing his thing, but claiming he's a woman. And then he says her, and then, oh, no, it's he, she, they, whatever. Boy, it's so confusing, right? Gender fluid. Thank you, Dominic Carter, for entertaining us, giving us some great belly laughs, enlightening us about this transgender issue with your caller, Diana, who you were respectful to. You were insightful. You asked the right questions. And because you set the right tone, she answered honestly. That's deserving of a Marconi Award. I'm submitting it for that. Best interview of the year. And by the way, Sid Rosenberg, tough noogies, you were not the best program in 24 hours. The Dominic Carter Show last night from 12 to 1, Monday through Fridays, was top shelf 5-star. Nobody touched him yesterday.
You know that feeling when someone shows up for you just when you need it most? That's what Uber is all about. Not just a ride or dinner at your door. It's how Uber helps you show up for the moments that matter. Because showing up can turn a tough day around or make a good one even better. Whatever it is, big or small, Uber is on the way. So you can be on yours. Uber, on our way.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
How does PwC take your company to the leading edge? They bring the sharpest minds in tech to your team, so you can bring the ideas that will transform your business. They're passionate about your industry, so you can walk into any room with every advantage. And they're with you every step of the way, so you can know you're headed in the right direction. PwC builds for what's next, so you can get there now. Get started at pwc.com/us/leading edge.
Well, thank you for that, Curtis. An assessment from the great Curtis Lewa, who you can listen to Monday through Friday with the Rip and Read, 12:15 p.m. to 1 in the afternoon. But I do think it's only fair that you hear directly where the transgender woman, Diana, is coming from.
I'm so disappointed in you, Dominic. I mean, you know, transgender folk are as human as anyone else. And 100 years ago, if an African American had advertised a beer, white people would have said, I'm not drinking that beer. You know, the N-word, they drink that beer. But we've grown beyond that. And we have to grow beyond prejudice against sexual minorities. Don't you think?
I agree with you, but Diana, what are you disappointed in me about?
Because you seem to be happy that Bud Light has lost its status because it was advertised by a transgender influencer. I'm transgender. I mean, we're as human as you are, you know?
Right. Everybody's human. If you listen to this program, Diana, the fact that you're transgender is not new to me. I have transgender people call me all the time. I grew up around a few transgender people, and in my young adulthood, I was around transgender people. So it's something. I've been to gay bars. I understand the lifestyle. I get it.
Excuse me. In other words, some of your best friends are. I see.
So what's the point there, Diana?
That
because I am happy. I am happy that Bud Light is losing its business. They should.
Why?
Because Diana, you know, and you're right. The argument that you made about an African American years ago, you're right. Our history has showed that would have been the case. But Diana, how do you take something that America is trying to, and I'm referring to transgenders, right? And in your community, you have a high rate of suicide. I sympathize on that. I really do.
That's because everyone hates us.
Well, I do sympathize on that in that area. But Diana, how do you just take something and you're just going to make people accept it, whether they're ready to deal with it or not?
Well, that's what they did in the South with the civil rights movement.
Well, you know, there's an argument to be made for that, but it was not just completely that. You had people of goodwill on all races. See, you're trying to guide me
for the trans community.
Well, but Diana, what I'm trying so you're telling me, Diana, that it's okay for Targets and Kohl's.
Yes, of course, to be inclusive.
Okay, well, Diana, don't take your battle with me. Take your battle to America. It's America that's not supporting this.
We are the real America.
Okay, I agree with you on that front. I do not think it's Diana, what am I? You answered it. Here's a great question I have for you. If I happen to be in Targets, what am I supposed to say to my 2-year-old granddaughter? Maybe she gets a little older.
There are some people who are born in one gender and become a different gender, and that is just how they are, and that's the way it is in the world. That's what you're supposed to say.
One more time. I want to make sure I got this right. I'm supposed to say to my granddaughter as she starts getting a little older, one more time, please.
There are some people who are assigned one gender at birth, but are in fact the other gender and choose to live as the other gender, and that's why these bathing suits are labeled the way they are.
And that may be acceptable to me as a grown man, But a child is supposed to understand that? Diana, you don't think that a child is going to be left confused at that?
If children can read horrifying fairy tales about witches throwing kids into ovens, I think they can accept this.
See, I disagree with you, Diana. I understand that you want what you have described as your lifestyle to be accepted, but I don't think that all of society
It's not a choice, Dominic. It's not a choice.
It is a choice. It is a choice.
That's like saying, okay, being Jewish or Islamic is a choice. It may be a choice, but it's a valid choice.
Okay, so you say it's a choice, right, Diana? What about...
No, you said it was a choice. I say it's not a choice.
Okay, so you say it's not a choice. So what about people that say they're transgender and then next week they're back to... What about that? What about
being gender fluid? What's wrong with that?
I don't even know what gender fluid is, to be honest with you.
What you just described, that's being gender fluid.
And you're telling me, Diana, that people are supposed... Diana, with all due respect, you're telling me with a straight face that people are supposed to accept this?
Yes.
Well, see, you and I, we strong. I have respect for you, Diana, for arguing.
And I for you.
And for you arguing your point. But America is just not ready for this. It's
they
not.
Will get ready.
No, and so the transgender community is going to make us ready, whether we're
Just
ready or
as
not.
The civil rights community made the world ready for civil rights.
But but that was different, Diana. To the degree it was different because you had people of goodwill. You have white people that died for black people to have rights that we have today.
You have straight people who died for gay people to have rights.
Yeah, so then why does the civil rights community not identify with the argument of the transgender community if the two are so similar?
Given what DeSantis said recently, with the NAACP warning both your group and my group to stay out of Florida, I would imagine that's about to change.
Well, we'll see. Diana, before I let you go, so you said you're transgender.
Yes.
What else is it that you want people to know? Because, again, I make no bones about it. I am glad that Bud Light has lost its base, because I guarantee you right now the corporate heads are shaking in their boots on how they're going to keep their jobs going forward, because they touched what amounts to be a third rail for the American people.
Only some of the American people are conservatives.
Right. Okay, but before I let you go, because what's going to happen, Diana, you're going to go, and then somebody's going to bring up a point to counter you, and I want you to have the last word before I move on from your call here.
All right, thank you. Transgender folk are as human as anyone else, and all human beings are more alike than we are different.
So, Diana, just one last thing. So, if I decide tomorrow, and I'm serious about this, that I'm Superman, the American people have to accept that?
So long as you don't hurt anyone, what's wrong with it?
Okay. All right, Diana. Well, what I want to do going forward, I want you to stay in contact with me, because as these issues arise,
I love your show. I love your show.
And I love you, Diana. We just respectfully disagree.
Exactly. And that is America. That is America.
Right.
That we can remain friends, in quotes. We don't really know each other, but remain friendly, but disagree. That's America.
And it is America. Well, thank you, Diana. Again, for right now, we have to agree to disagree. And of course, this issue of the transgender community will remain red hot. And that is all the time we have for this episode. Thank you, folks, for joining us. If you are interested in my remarkable book on my life titled No Mama's Boy, go to my website, all one word, DominicCarterOnline.com, DominicCarterOnline.com. You can catch me on 77 WABC, weeknights, midnight to 1 a.m. Go check out the Dominic Carter merchandise at the 77 WABC store, from Dominic Carter T-shirts, the hats, and much more. Go to WABCRadiostore.com. Dominic Carter, Red Apple Podcast, Talk Radio 77, WABC.
I gotta make it.
Dominic Carter socials on Twitter at Dominic TV and Facebook and Instagram. Dominic Carter TV. Email at dominic.carter@wabcradio.com. Until the next episode, be well. And as Dominic always says, stay positive. The glass is always half full, never half empty. Dominic Carter City Hall.